Hello, welcome to the Self Learning Platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we start Unit 3, Aristotle, and we are going to discuss political ideas of Aristotle. And subheading is Theory of State. For Aristotle, as with Plato, the state or polis is all important. Both Plato and Aristotle see in the police more than a state. The police is for both a community as well as a state as well as a government as well as a school as well as religion. What is more is the fact that both regard the police as a means for the attainment of complete life. The state with Aristotle, as with Plato too, began for the satisfaction of basic wants, but as it developed, it came to perform more elevated aims essential for good life. Aristotle says, but a state exists for the sake of a good life and not for the sake of life only. The characteristic features of Aristotle's theory of state can be briefly stated as under. The state for Plato is a natural organization and not an artificial one. Unlike Plato's ideal state, Aristotle's state is not structured or manufactured, not a make, but is a growing gradually out of villages growing out of families, and families out of man's nature, social instincts. The state has grown like a tree. The state is prior to the individual. It is so in the sense the whole is prior to the past. The state, Aristotle says, is by nature clearly prior to the family and the individual, since the whole is of the necessity prior to the past. For example, if the whole body be destroyed, there will be no foot or hand, except in an equivocal sense, as we might speak of a stone hand, for when destroyed the hand will be no better than that. But things are defined by their working and power, and we ought not to say that they are same when they no longer have their proper quality, but only that they have the same name. The proof that the state is a creation of nature and prior to the individual, he continues, is that the individual, when isolated, is not self sufficing, and therefore he is like a part in relation to the whole. But he who is unable to live in society, or who has no need because he is sufficient for himself, must either be a beast or a god. He is no part of a state. The state is not only an association or union as Aristotle calls it, but is an association of associations. The other associations are not as large as is the state. They are specific and therefore limited in their objective and essence. The state, on the other hand, has general and common purposes and therefore has larger concerns as compared to any or other associations. The state is like a human organism. Aristotle is of the opinion that the state, like the human organism, has its own parts, that is, the individuals. Apart from the state, he argues the individuals have no importance and separated from the body. The parts have no life of their own. The interest of the part of the body is inherent in the interest of the body. What separate interest a hand has when away from the body. Likewise, the interest of the individuals is inherent in the interest of the state. The state is a self sufficing institution, while the village and the family is not. The self sufficient state is higher than the families and the villages. It is their union. As a member of family, the individuals become social. The state is not, Aristotle says, a unity, which it is for Plato. Plato seeks to attain unity within the state. Aristotle too seeks to attain the unity, but for him it is unity in diversity. For Aristotle, the state is not a uniformity, but is one that brings all the diversities together. Aristotle's best practical state is, according to Sabine, what Plato called second best state. Aristotle's state is the best possible state, the best practicable. McVeigh sums up Aristotle's best possible state saying, Aristotle's best possible state is simply the one who is neither too rich nor too poor, secure from attack and devoid of great wealth or wide expansion of trade or territory, homogeneous, virtuous, defensible, unambitious community, self sufficient but not aggressive, great but not large, a tightly independent city devoted to the achievement of the highest possible measure of culture and virtue, of well being and true happiness attainable by each and by all. It is one which is a small city state whose territory corresponds to the population it has, that is geographically located near the river and where good climatic conditions exist, where the rule of law prevails, and where authority or power is vested in the hands of the rich. On the basis of his study of 158 constitutions, Aristotle has given a classification which became a guide for all the subsequent philosophers who ventured to classify governments. For him, the rule of one and for the interest of all is monarchy, and its perverted form is tyranny, if such a rule exists for the benefit of the ruler, the rule of few and for the interest of all is aristocracy, and its perverted form is oligarchy. If such few rule in their own interest, the rule of many and for the interest of all is polity, and its perverted form is democracy. If such a rule exists for those who have the power, Aristotle too refers to the cycle of classification. Monarchy is followed by tyranny, tyranny by aristocracy, aristocracy by oligarchy, oligarchy by polity, polity by democracy, and democracy by monarchy. And so goes on the cycle of classification. Aristotle's classification has become outdated, for it cannot be applied to the existing system. What he calls the classification of state is, in fact, the classification of government, for like all the ancient Greeks, he confuses between the state and the government. Here we want to wind up this lecture. Thank you so much for your attention.